Alright, so as the title of the video suggests, I am going to be doing some weathering on this Paz Vizsla helmet. So I've already done a silver base coat. I've done a lot of sanding. I do have some slight blemishes there. I've gotten rid of most of them, but I'm going to keep those there. I'm going to try to mask it. With this paint chipping technique that I'm going to use, I'm going to be using toothpaste. I'm going to be painting this black, and then I'm going to be wiping it away. And then I'm going to also be painting over the black again with a different color. But the black will be the base coat on top, or the secondary coat, not the base coat. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to start dabbing toothpaste on. Make sure whatever toothpaste you get, you don't get any abrasives in it. You don't want to scrape away, or when you're wiping the paint off, you don't want to mess up that coat too much. You only want to mess it up in the areas you want it to be scraped. So I'm going to go ahead and start a time lapse right now, but you can just see what I'm going to do. I'm going to be dabbing paint, or not paint, I'm going to be dabbing toothpaste with this paintbrush. It's not a very good paintbrush, and that's great. It's going to add some variation, and it's going to be nice. So I'm just going to go around where there's battle damage, and I'm going to dab where I want to keep the paint off. So as this time lapse goes of me throwing toothpaste on this silver paint in this helmet, something that I just wanted to throw in there. When you're doing this, make sure you're slightly twisting the paintbrush through your fingertips. Make the bristles go in a different direction so it doesn't look so uniform, because this is paint chipping and you want to make it look random. If you're good at making stuff look random without doing this technique, then go for it. But for everybody else, if you're not very good at making stuff look random, just twist the paintbrush in your fingers. It's kind of like you're dusting for prints. If you've ever had a job where you had to dust for prints, that's like the motion you're going to go for. Okay, nice little just twisting the brush through your fingertips, making the bristles go in a different direction. Another thing you're going to see here in a second is I did end up getting a bamboo skewer to try to get some more fine details in those cuts. I ended up kind of just throwing it away because it didn't spread the toothpaste as nice, but you can use a bamboo skewer to put down the toothpaste. With this first little bit, I didn't go too thick, and I will talk about that later in the video, but just know it's kind of a thinner coat. Once I get the paint masking where I want it to be, I'm going to go ahead and take an airbrush with some really just cheap black airbrush paint. You can do this with a rattle can, spray paint can. I just wanted to do it with my airbrush to see if I could. So you're going to see that in a second. With this, I'll say it probably again earlier, or I said it earlier in the video. I'll probably say it later in the video. With the airbrush paint, you can actually have thinner layers of toothpaste, and you don't need to cake it on quite as much. And if you cake it on too much, then it's harder to scrub off. But if you're using a spray paint, I found out you want to cake it on a little bit more, because then it will give the paint something not to bite onto. And what ended up happening is I did not hit record for the full thing, and so it kind of just jumps there. But this is the end result. I just go through and I spray all the toothpaste, and you want to extend the black paint a couple centimeters away from the toothpaste, and so you can get that nice variation of the final color to black to silver. And you're really going to see that undercoat in the finished product, but that's what we got here. And I end up getting a little bit too excited, and I don't wait for the paint to fully dry, and I start to try to wipe this off. And in the meantime, the toothpaste has been drying. So what I find out later on in the video is you gotta get the toothpaste a little bit wet in order to wipe it off nice and orderly. But it turns out way better than this, so just hold tight. Alright, so I've let it dry, and now what I need to do is I need to wipe it off. I started doing that with a kind of a damp paper towel, but I think what I'm going to have to end up doing is I'm going to need to wipe this down and get the whole print wet. And so I'll do that right now. I'm going to go to the sink and do that, and I'll be right back once it's done. Alright, so here's the result of our paint process and our method that we're using with the toothpaste. And overall, I'd say it turned out very well. Some things I would change, though, as I was watching some other people do it, they were putting huge globs of toothpaste on. You can kind of see that right there. And I did that, and then I also tested it out with just a very thin layer. I would go with the thin layer. If you don't want to like scrub a bunch of just toothpaste off this helmet, I would go with the thin layer. And I would say it made it look, oops, smiley face. It made the paint chipping effect looks really nice. So the next step, what I'm going to do is you will want to just extend out a little bit. Sorry, I was just pointing, but looks like something else. You just want to extend out a little bit so you have silver, black, and then your next color. So I'm going to go ahead and start dabbing on some more toothpaste, and then I'm going to hit it with the next color, and then we're going to repeat the same process over of rinsing it off with a paper towel. So again, some notes I'm going to take with me, thinner layers, and then I need to make sure I extend out from any silver I want to keep. Again, I just want to quickly clarify. When you're doing this, you're going to cover the silver, and then you're going to extend that boundary of toothpaste over the black part. If I were to go back and do this again, I'd make this black part a little bit larger so I have more of a boundary to play with. But I make do with what I have right now because this is the first time I've ever done it. But that is one thing that I'd make sure to do is extend that black spray paint or that black spray, whatever you're painting with, a little bit wider so you can show that a little bit more in your final paint job. But again, dab everything you want to keep, and anything you don't want to keep, you're going to leave and you're going to paint over it, and you're never going to see it again. Alright, so I did not show the painting process because there's a lot of painting videos on YouTube. If you want me to make a painting video, I can make one and you can watch mine, but it's going to be the same thing. Essentially what I do is I get a rattle can and I go about 6 to 10 inches away and I do a light coat first just so the paint has something to grab onto. And then I go about a medium coat and I just stick with a medium coat. I never go really too heavy. I try to avoid as many runs as possible. So don't ever go too heavy. Just go light to medium, 6 to 10 inches away, and just do light passes and it will build up over time. So what I'm finding out here with the rattle can is I should have made the toothpaste thicker. Essentially what happened is the toothpaste dried out, and I realized that later on. But I end up scrubbing so hard and so long right here. So if you're going to use a rattle can, make sure you are using thick globs like I mentioned earlier in the video after I said don't do it. But do that, okay? Thick globs if you're going to use a rattle can. Thin coats if you're going to use an airbrush, okay? The rattle cans, their paint's just better. It sticks better. So make sure you're using thicker toothpaste coats and everything like that. But essentially what I'm doing now is I'm just wiping away any of the textured paint. That's where the toothpaste is. And I'm going to end up putting a lot of elbow grease into this, but I'm going to time lapse it now, so just enjoy and watch. All right, so the time has come. So these are paper towels. I thought the last part of the helmet, that one side, was very difficult to get. So I tried to do something, and I soaked paper towels in just water, and then I didn't wring them out or anything. I just kind of placed them on, and they dripped a little bit, but I put another paper towel underneath to catch the drips. But I was hoping it would soften up the toothpaste, and so it'd make it easier to get the toothpaste and get the weathering I want. So we're gonna go ahead and take that off right now and start scrubbing again. Hopefully it's easier. We'll see. And immediately I can tell this was going to be way easier than the other side. Soaking the paper towels and letting this kind of absorb the toothpaste absorb the water, it works. So sit back and enjoy this much better, enjoyable time lapse. I don't know if it's enjoyable for you to watch, but it's definitely enjoyable for me to scrub this off. Right, and that's what we're left with. I do have to clean up a little bit more toothpaste, but overall, I do love this effect. Um, it's my first time using it, so I will get better. Uh, I would say so. The black part I used an airbrush, and the paint worked fine with a little bit thinner coat of toothpaste. But when I moved to the blue, which was a spray can, it was kind of tough to get out. So if I were to do it again, what I would do is I'd make sure I cover the whole helmet in black first off, right? So I covered it in silver. Okay. What I would be sure to do after I cover it in silver, when I mask off the parts with toothpaste, I would I would do thin coats for the airbrush, and then when I do it again, sorry, let me back up here. I would make sure that I cover the entire helmet in black paint. I do like it. It looks okay, but there are some spots where I'm like, oh, I wish that wasn't there like that. You can see the silver right there. I wish I'd covered the entire helmet in black paint, other than the spots I don't like other than these spots where I masked off. Um, but if I'm using a rattle can again, I'd be sure to use a thicker coat of toothpaste because it was harder to get off. I did like the soaking method with shout out to BYU, by the way, with the paper towels. It seemed to work very well. So good overall build. All right, so that wraps it up for us. I'm going to finish this helmet. I'm going to put the ears on, put the visors in, but I just wanted to show you guys this paint chipping technique and kind of just walk you through it. If you have any questions, throw a comment down and I will get back to you. I promise I will. I'm going to finish this helmet out. I'm going to put the ears on, put the visors in. If you want to watch that, smash the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Queso Builds.